Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from the heart. Women crave a man who knows who he is, a man who doesn't waste his energy on nonsense. I'm Steve Harvey, and I've seen it time and time again. When a man ignores the wrong things, he becomes magnetic. You see, women don't fall for the loudest guy in the room. They fall for the one who's steady, confident, and focused. Ladies and gentlemen, let me break it down for you. There's something powerful about a man who doesn't constantly chase approval or validation. Women can spot it from a mile away. When a man walks into a room with confidence, not arrogance, but true confidence, it speaks louder than any words he could ever say. See, when you're constantly trying to prove yourself, constantly trying to get a pat on the back or be told you're good enough, you're showing everyone that you don't fully believe in yourself yet. And women don't crave a man who doubts himself. They want a man who is steady, a man who knows his value without needing the whole world to clap for. Let me tell you something. Confidence is not about bragging. Confidence is quiet. It's about how you carry yourself, how you move, how you speak. You don't have to say, I'm the man, because everyone around you already knows. You don't have to prove that you're worthy because you're living it every single day. Women are naturally drawn to this type of man because he's not desperate for approval. He's secure within himself. And ladies love security, not just financial security, but emotional security. Now, here's the thing. A man who doesn't rely on validation is dangerous in the best way possible. Why? Because his confidence is unshakable. When a woman sees a man who doesn't need constant attention, she knows he's not easily swayed by opinions. He's not moved by every little comment or every little distraction. That man is focused. That man is on a mission. And trust me, women can feel that energy. Women don't crave a man who spends all day trying to prove he's the best. They crave a man who simply is the best version of himself. It's not about trying to win everyone's approval, because when you're trying to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. Women love a man who can stand on his own 2 feet and say, I know who I am, I know what I bring to the table, and I'm not going to beg for recognition. That's attractive. It's powerful. And let's be real here. Validation is like a drug. The more you chase it, the weaker you become. Women see this. When a man constantly needs to hear, you're amazing or you're doing great just to feel good about himself, that's a turnoff. But when a man is confident enough to know his own worth without anyone telling him, that's when he stands out. That's when he becomes the kind of man women can't resist. Another thing about confidence is this. It allows a man to make decisions without second guessing himself. Women love a man who can lead, who can step up, who can say, here's what we're doing, and mean it. A man who is always looking for someone to validate his every move, that's a man who's not ready to lead. Confidence and decisiveness go hand in hand, and that's something every woman is drawn to. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying a man should be cold or act like he doesn't care about anyone's opinion. That's not confidence, that's arrogance. I'm talking about quiet strength. I'm talking about the type of man who doesn't need to scream or shout to get respect. He earns it by the way he carries himself. He earns it by the way he treats others and by the way he stays true to himself. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, women crave the man who doesn't chase validation, because that man is rare. That man is solid. That man is a rock in a world full of noise and uncertainty. When you don't need to be constantly told that you're worthy, when you live in a way that shows your worth every single day, you naturally attract the right kind of attention. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real. One of the most attractive qualities a man can have is the ability to ignore drama and negativity. Women crave a man who doesn't get caught up in every little storm, a man who knows how to rise above nonsense. See, life is full of distractions, people talking behind your back, social media trying to get under your skin, and little arguments that don't matter. But a man who refuses to feed into that mess, he stands out like a diamond in the rough. When a man is calm, steady, and refuses to let negativity shake his spirit, it shows strength. It shows maturity. Women pay attention to that because they want someone who can handle life without falling apart at the first sign of trouble. If every small thing sets you off, if every little comment throws you into a bad mood, that's not attractive. But when you know how to keep your cool, that's when you show the difference between a boy and a man. Women love a man who doesn't react to every piece of gossip or negativity thrown his way. You know why? Because it shows discipline. It shows that his focus is on what truly matters, his purpose, his goals, and his peace of mind. A man like that doesn't waste energy arguing with people who don't matter. And that kind of energy is magnetic. It makes women feel safe because they know he's not going to get caught up in foolishness or lose control over minor things. Let's keep it real. Drama is everywhere. There's always going to be someone trying to pull you into a fight, trying to make you prove something. But a strong man understands that not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is silence. Sometimes the best answer is to just keep walking and stay focused on what matters. Women notice that. They see that you're not about wasting time on petty issues, and that makes you look confident and secure. A man who ignores negativity also shows that he's in control of his emotions. That's huge, because here's the truth. Women don't trust a man who can't control his temper or his reactions. If you get angry at every comment or every challenge, it shows weakness. But when you can stay cool and composed, even when things get rough, that shows real strength. And strength, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the most attractive things a man can have. Think about it. When you don't give drama attention, it dies. When you don't give negativity space, it can't grow. Women love a man who protects his peace, because that means he can protect theirs too. He's not bringing unnecessary chaos into her life. Instead, he brings stability. He brings a sense of calm that's rare in this world. Now, this doesn't mean you avoid every problem or pretend bad things don't exist. No, a real man knows how to handle issues directly, but with wisdom and control. He doesn't explode. He doesn't let his emotions take over. He deals with things head on and then moves on. That's powerful. That's attractive. When you ignore negativity, you also show that you're focused on bigger things. You're not letting small-minded people pull you down because you've got bigger plans. Women love a man with vision, a man who's not stuck in the mud of petty arguments. They want someone who's going somewhere. And you can't be that man if you're always looking back, always getting caught up in other people's mess. So gentlemen, hear me when I say this. A man who stays out of drama and refuses to feed into negativity doesn't just look strong, he feels strong. He's the kind of man who makes a woman feel secure and valued. And trust me, women crave that kind of energy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Women do not crave a man who is obsessed with showing off material wealth. Yes, money is important and being financially stable is necessary, but there is a big difference between being stable and constantly trying to impress someone with what you own. Women are smart. They can tell when a man's entire confidence is built on material possessions. If every time you walk into a room, your focus is on flashing your watch, your car, or your wallet, you might catch attention for a moment, but that attention will fade as soon as the next shiny thing comes along. A real woman is not looking for a walking price tag. She's looking for a man with substance, with character, with a strong sense of self. When a man is not obsessed with showing off his wealth, it means he values himself for who he is, not for what he owns. That is powerful. It sends a message that says, I'm enough even without all this stuff. And that confidence is worth more than any expensive car or flashy suit. You see, money can buy comfort, but it can't buy respect, loyalty, or love. A man who believes that material things are the key to a woman's heart is missing the point. Sure, a woman will appreciate a man who can provide and who takes care of himself financially, but what she truly craves is a man who can provide emotional stability, trust, and consistency. Those things can't be purchased, no matter how much money you have. Think about it. When a man constantly shows off his wealth, it often means he's trying to fill a void. He wants to be noticed. He wants people to validate him. And he thinks that money is the way to do it. But women can see through that act. They know when a man is using money to mask his insecurity. On the other hand, when a man has money but doesn't feel the need to flaunt it, that's when he's the most attractive. Because he's showing that his identity doesn't come from his bank account. It comes from his values, his principles, and his character. A man who isn't obsessed with material wealth focuses on building real connections. He knows that relationships are not about gifts and grand gestures alone. They are about understanding, communication, and effort. Women want to feel seen, heard, and appreciated, and that can't be replaced by anything material. You can buy flowers, you can buy jewelry, but if there is no sincerity behind those gifts, they mean nothing. So, being a sincere man, let me tell you this. Women respect a man who is ambitious and hardworking, but they love a man who is humble about his success. A man who doesn't need to tell everyone how much money he has, because his actions, his consistency, and his way of treating people speak louder than any luxury brand he could wear. That's the kind of man who leaves a lasting impression. When a man isn't consumed by material things, he also shows that he has balance in life. He values experiences, family, love, and growth over just possessions. Women crave a man like that because they know he's grounded. He's not easily distracted by the temporary highs of money and status. He's focused on building something meaningful, both for himself and for the people he loves. At the end of the day, wealth fades, trends change, and possessions lose their shine. What lasts is how a man carries himself, how he treats others, and what kind of heart he has. A man who understands this truth and doesn't obsess over material wealth is the man who naturally draws women in, because deep down, every woman knows that a good man, a man of character, is worth more than gold. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful. Women are naturally drawn to a man who stays calm under pressure. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and unexpected storms. But the way a man reacts when things get tough says everything about who he really is. You see, anyone can look confident and collected when everything is going smoothly, but true character shows up when the heat is on, when the road gets rough, and when the pressure starts to build. That's when a woman sees whether she's dealing with a man or a boy. A man who can stay calm during chaos sends a message without saying a word. He's telling the world, I can handle this. And that quiet confidence is magnetic. Women crave that energy because it makes them feel secure. They know that no matter what life throws at them, this man won't break. He won't panic, and he won't let fear take control. Instead, he steps up, thinks clearly, and takes action. That kind of presence is rare and it's powerful. Staying calm under pressure doesn't mean you don't feel stress or fear. It means you don't let those emotions control you. It's about being able to take a deep breath, think through the problem, and move forward with confidence. Women love a man who doesn't let small things throw him off his game. They want someone who can handle the big moments without falling apart, because life is unpredictable, and they need a partner who can be the rock when everything else feels uncertain. Think about this. When a man loses his temper or falls apart in tough situations, it shows that he's not fully in control of himself. He becomes reactive instead of proactive. But when a man stays steady, when he keeps his head cool while everyone else is panicking, that's when his strength shines through. Women notice that kind of calm because it's rare. It's not about being emotionless. It's about having the discipline to keep your emotions in check and focus on the solution instead of the problem. A calm man is also a leader. He's the one people look to when times get hard because they know he's not going to make rash decisions or give up. Women are drawn to that because they want to feel safe with the person they're with. They want to know that when life gets messy, he's going to stand firm, not crumble. It's about trust. A woman trusts a man who can handle pressure because she knows he'll protect her peace instead of adding to the chaos. Let me tell you something else. Staying calm under pressure isn't just attractive. It's inspiring. It shows that you're disciplined, that you can think clearly even when your back is against the wall. Women love being around a man who can encourage them to stay strong just by the way he handles himself. When you're calm, you create an atmosphere of stability. You make the people around you feel like everything is going to be all right. And that's a powerful quality to have. This calmness also comes from self-belief. A man who trusts his ability to handle whatever comes his way doesn't panic. He knows that he might not have all the answers, but he's willing to figure it out. And women crave that confidence. They don't expect you to be perfect. They just want to know that you won't run when things get tough. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, staying calm under pressure is about strength, wisdom, and focus. It's about understanding that life will test you, but you don't have to let those tests break you. A man who can keep his cool no matter what is the kind of man every woman respects, admires, and craves. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that most men don't realize. Women are drawn to a man who doesn't let fear of commitment control him. A man who leads with purpose. Too many men run from commitment because they think it's a trap or a burden. They believe that settling down or being serious about someone takes away their freedom. But the truth is, commitment doesn't take anything away from you. It builds you. It gives your life direction, and it shows that you're strong enough to stand for something bigger than yourself. A man who is not afraid of commitment is a man who knows who he is. He's not confused about what he wants or where he's going. He's not out here wasting time playing games or pretending to be something he's not. He's focused, and that focus is attractive. Women crave that because it gives them a sense of security. They know that this man isn't just drifting through life. He's moving with intention, and he's serious about building something real. Let's be honest. A lot of men think being non-committal makes them look strong or untouchable. But to a real woman, that's a red flag. It shows fear, and fear is never attractive. A man who runs from commitment is often running from himself. But when a man steps up and says, I'm ready to build, I'm ready to love, I'm ready to grow, that's the kind of man who stands out. He's rare, and that rarity makes him valuable. Women don't crave perfection, but they do crave consistency and reliability. A man who isn't afraid of commitment sends a message that he's not going to disappear when things get tough. He's not just there for the good times, he's there for the long haul. That kind of loyalty is priceless. It tells a woman that she can trust him with her heart, and trust is the foundation of every strong relationship. Now let's talk about purpose, because commitment without purpose doesn't mean much. A man who leads with purpose is a man who knows where he's going. He's not waiting for life to tell him what to do. He's setting his own path. He's got goals, dreams, and plans, and he's not afraid to chase them. Women love that because it shows drive and ambition. It shows that this man is not just living day by day, but he's building a future. When you lead with purpose, you also show that you're not selfish. You're thinking about the bigger picture. You're thinking about how your actions affect the people around you. That kind of leadership is magnetic. It tells a woman that you're someone she can count on, someone who's not just talking, but taking action to create a better life for both of you. Being unafraid of commitment also means being emotionally mature. It means you've dealt with your fears, your doubts, and your insecurities. You're not letting past heartbreaks or failures stop you from loving again. Women respect a man who has the courage to love fully, even when he knows it won't always be easy. Because let's face it, real love requires bravery. It requires stepping up when others step back. At the end of the day, a man who isn't scared of commitment and leads with purpose doesn't have to chase women. Women naturally gravitate toward him because they see his strength, his clarity, and his willingness to build something meaningful. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what sets him apart from the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. Nothing is more attractive to a woman than a man who is authentic, a man who values being real over trying to impress. In a world where so many people are busy putting on a show, pretending to be someone they're not, authenticity stands out like a beacon of light. Women crave a man who is true to himself because they know he's not hiding. He's not performing, and he's not wearing a mask just to gain attention. When a man is authentic, he's not afraid to show who he really is, the good, the bad, and the lessons he's learned along the way. He doesn't feel the need to exaggerate his achievements or pretend to be something bigger than he is. He's comfortable in his own skin, and that comfort is magnetic. A woman can feel it. She can sense when a man is genuine, and that's what earns her respect. Too many men think that to win a woman's heart, they have to constantly impress her with big gestures, fancy words, or flashy things. But here's the truth. You don't have to try so hard when you're being real. Realness is effortless. Authenticity doesn't need to shout because it speaks for itself. A man who is authentic knows that he doesn't need to pretend to be perfect. He doesn't need to be someone else just to be liked, because the right people will value him for exactly who he is. Women are not impressed by a man who's always trying to put on an act, because deep down they know it's not sustainable. At some point, the act fades and the real person shows up. That's why women crave authenticity from the start. They want to know who you really are. They want to see your values, your character, and how you treat people when nobody is watching. Being authentic also means being honest. And let me tell you, honesty is one of the most attractive traits a man can have. When you're truthful, not just with others, but with yourself, it shows integrity. Women respect that because it's rare. Too many people are busy telling the world what they think it wants to hear instead of just being who they truly are. A man who speaks his truth, who lives his truth, is a man who can be trusted. Authenticity isn't about being perfect or having it all figured out. It's about owning your story, every part of it. It's about saying, this is who I am, and I'm proud of it. Women find that confidence irresistible because it's real. When a man is authentic, he doesn't need to compare himself to anyone else or compete for validation. He's comfortable with his journey, and that confidence draws people in naturally. Another thing about authenticity is that it creates a deeper connection. When you're being real, people feel safe around you. They know they're not dealing with a fake version of you. Women especially value this because they want to connect with a man on a deeper level. They don't want a character you've created. They want the real you, flaws and all. And when they see that authenticity, they're far more likely to trust you and invest in you. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, trying to impress people is exhausting because you're constantly performing. But when you're authentic, you don't have to perform. You just have to be. That's the beauty of it. Women crave a man who is unapologetically himself because that kind of man is rare and refreshing in a world full of pretenders.